Hey Energy Express friends, it's me, Joel. Welcome back. What's your favorite snack at the movies? Mine's popcorn, and today I'm going to read you a popcorn book and show you how to make some popcorn. So stay tuned, we're going to have a lot of fun today. Hi guys, today we're going to be reading Tommy DePaulo's The Popcorn Book. And now, a word from our sponsors. You can see two siblings here, watching the television. Mom, can we make some popcorn? Yes, the popcorn's in the refrigerator. Yummy. I wonder why Mom keeps the popcorn in the refrigerator. I don't know, I'll go look it up. Here they are, yelling to their mom. Mom's upstairs. We've got someone here, the professor in his glasses. He's gonna go look it up. Here it is. Popcorn is best stirred airtight in a jar in the refrigerator, so the kernels keep their moisture. Boy, this is interesting. Listen. Popcorn is the oldest of the three main types of corn. There is field corn, which we feed to animals like cattle and pigs, sweet corn, which is the kind we eat, and popcorn. Kitties like the popcorn too, it looks like. The indigenous peoples of America discovered popcorn thousands of years ago. The Aztecs called popcorn momochito and used it for food and decoration. The Lucayan people of present-day San Salvador ate and sold popcorn and used it as jewelry. Before they arrived in the 15th century, Spanish colonizers had never had popcorn before. First, I heat up the pan. But popcorn is even older than that. In a bat cave in New Mexico, archaeologists found some popped corn that was 5,600 years old. So you can see what I'm going to call the professor here reading. And there's the history. And then the little brother is starting to make the popcorn. And there's the archaeologists and the bats finding popped popcorn. And 1,000-year-old popcorn kernels were found in Peru. They still could be popped. And now I add the cooking oil. The indigenous peoples of the Americas had many different ways to pop popcorn. One of the ways was to put an ear of corn on a stick and hold it over a fire. Oiling the cob could keep the kernels attached even when they popped. The Ho-Chunk, also known as the Winnebago, were particularly fond of oiled popcorn on the cob. So you can see popcorn in Peru. Adding the oil to the pan. And here's the indigenous people holding the ear of popcorn over the fire. Another way was to throw the kernels right into the fire by handfuls. The popcorn popped out all over the place, so there was a lot of bending and gathering around to pick it up. Okay, now we add a few kernels to the oil, so that's where you test the oil to make sure it's hot. The people of the Haudenosaunee, also called the Iroquois Confederacy, popped corn in clay pots. They would fill the pots with hot sand, throw in some popcorn, and stir it with a stick. When the corn popped, it came to the top of the sand and was easy to get out. Here they are throwing the popcorn into the hot sand pot and then fetching it out. People of many indigenous nations were fond of popcorn soup. Soup? The Algonquins introduced popcorn to English colonists. The colonists liked it so much they served popped popcorn for breakfast and with cream poured on top of it. So here they are with popcorn soup. And then they're talking to the English colonists and passing it along. And here are the colonists eating it with cream on top. Today, America consumes about 14 billion quarts of popcorn annually. That's 43 quarts per person. 30% is eaten at the movies, ball games, and county fairs, but 70% is popped right at home. Oh goody, the kernels are popping. That must mean the oil is ready. People in the Midwest buy more popcorn than in any other part of the United States. Milwaukee and Minneapolis are top popcorn eating cities, followed by Chicago and Seattle. Now I'll put more kernels in the pan and turn up the heat. So here we are finding all the facts out, and here we are actually making the popcorn. Now here's the part I read first. Popcorn is best stored in a tight jar in the refrigerator so the kernels keep their moisture. If the kernels dry out, there will be too many old maids left at the bottom of the pan. The old maids are any unpopped kernels. It doesn't look like enough, making sure that it got enough kernels there. If the popcorn dries out, you can add 1 or 2 tablespoons of water to the jar, shake it until the water is absorbed. I didn't know that. Popcorn only pops because the heart of the kernel is moist and pulpy and surrounded by a hard starch shell. When the kernel is heated, the moisture turns to steam and the heat gets bigger and bigger and bigger and the shell bursts out with a pop. Are you sure you didn't put too much popcorn in the pan? Of course not, silly. So there's the different stages of the popcorn. So that's how it starts out, and then it goes in the oil and it starts to steam and steam and steam and then pop. Some people tell the story that inside each popcorn kernel lives a little man. When his house is heated up, he gets really mad and blows up. So here's the kernel and he's getting upset because his house is getting hot, and then he pops. There are different kinds of popcorn, white hull-less and yellow hull-less. And the other ones are mostly commonly sold in store is the smallest type called a strawberry, because it has red kernels and the ears look like strawberries. Rainbow has red, white, yellow, and blue kernels. It's sometimes called calico. There's a black popcorn too, but all of it pops up white. The biggest kernels are called dynamite and snow puff. So here's all the different types of kernels, and then here we are, shake, 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 shake. After popcorn is popped, most people like to pour melted butter on it and salt on it. But if salt is put in the pan before the kernels are popped, it makes the popcorn tight, or tough, pardon me. Here we are still shaking. How do you like to top your popcorn? There are many stories about popcorn. One of the funniest and best known comes from the America's Northwest. One summer, it was so hot and dry that all the popcorn in the fields began to pop. In no time at all, the sky was filled with flying popcorn. It looked so much like a blizzard, everyone put on mittens and scarves to go out and with their snow shovels. Can you imagine a snowstorm of popcorn? Help, I have a blizzard too! I knew you put too much popcorn in the pan. Okay, if you're so smart, what do we do now? I know. Look, oh, they're blowing up the kitchen full of popcorn. What do you think they're gonna do? The best thing about popcorn is eating it. The end. So join us here in a few and we'll show you how to make some popcorn. What's a popcorn book without learning how to make some popcorn? So now we go from reading time to kitchen time and learn how to make 3 different flavors of popcorn. I got oil on the tablecloth. That's fine. I mean, I have to wash these things anyways. Welcome back, Energy Express friends. It's me, Joel, and I'm glad that you popped on over after reading the popcorn book to make some popcorn. So today what we're gonna do is talk a little bit about popcorn, and then we're gonna make some delicious treats. So as we learned in the book, there are 3 types of corn. There is popping corn, there is field corn, and then there is sweet corn. So we're gonna talk about popping corn today. And I brought 2 examples that we're gonna pop. So we have a tiny version, which is called ladyfinger. So this is a really small kernel and it pops up very small in your hand, and we'll save that till last. And then as it said in the book where they talked about a blizzard of popcorn, this is, I bet, what they're talking about because it's super small and you can make a blizzard out of it. And then we have popcorn that you're used to seeing at home and in the grocery stores and in the movie theaters, and it's a little bit bigger, and that's what we're gonna start out with. So we're going to be using a microwave today to make all of our recipes. But as always, use some kitchen safety and make sure you have an adult handy to help you do all of the hot stuff, okay? So we're gonna start, and we're gonna pop in something that's not a pot. We're gonna pop in a bag. Now I know you've heard of microwave popcorn, but this is homemade microwave popcorn. So we're gonna start with a brown paper bag, and we're gonna place it on a plate, and we're gonna measure out 1/4 of a cup of popcorn. So we dropped a couple pieces there, not a problem. So we're gonna put our 1/4 of a cup in there to begin with, and then we're gonna measure out a tablespoon of oil. Now the oil will leak inside of the bag, which is why we're on the plate, but it's gonna help to make our flavors stick later. So 1 tablespoon. Okay, I'll put that there. And then what we're gonna do is we're going to seal this up. And now we're gonna place it in the microwave. And we're gonna microwave it for about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. What we're listening for is that the popcorn kernels have about 2 seconds or 3 seconds in between each individual pop, so we know that most of the bag is popped. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we have popcorn. So what you can do is you can top your popcorn any way you like, but I'm gonna show you some creative ideas that you can make a fun popcorn for a movie night or a party. So what I have here is the cheese powder from Macaroni and Cheese. And I'm just gonna add about a tablespoon in this bag, or maybe a little more. Seal the bag up, and just like we did when we made ice cream, we're gonna shake. Ooh, as I just get a little oil on my hands. And then, to make it even more fun, we're gonna take another bag, and we're gonna open it up, and we're gonna transfer our cheesy popcorn from one bag to the other. Great. And then what we'll do is we'll fold it down, and you'll make a crease, and then you're gonna take the bag and you're gonna tear across, sort of straight if you can, not a mess like I am. And then what you do is you fold down the edge and you make your own paper popcorn bowl. So there is your cheesy popcorn, one of 3 flavors. So now we're gonna make a ranch popcorn. Same procedure as before. So how much was that again? 1/4 of a cup. Does anyone remember how much oil? That's right, a tablespoon. Bloop. And then we'll seal this back up and pop it back in the microwave for another 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And now the popcorn dance. While we wait for all the kernels to pop, let's talk about some science behind popcorn. You may be wondering, why does popcorn pop? Well, popcorn pops because of the water on the inside of the corn kernel, which is actually a seed. And what happens is that water converts into steam when it's heated with the oil, either in a pan or in the bag in the microwave, and that corn kernel expands and expands and expands and holds up and builds up steam until finally the pressure builds up and eventually pops the skin of the corn, making popcorn. The popcorn that we actually eat is the start of the seed, or the starch of the seed, that expands outward as a result of the heat and steam. Popcorn usually pops at a temperature between 399 degrees Fahrenheit and 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Kinda cool, huh? Okay, our second batch is done. Let's pull it out and see what it looks like. Ooh. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna shake this just like we did the other one, except we're gonna shake some ranch powder on it. Now, what I like to do with this is that now in the grocery store you can buy the ranch powder and you can also buy hot sauce powder. So what I like to sometimes do is put ranch powder on it, about a tablespoon, shake it up, and then we're gonna transfer it again from one bag to the other. And make our little bag bowl. This is how we used to eat popcorn in front of the television as kids. My mom would put it in little bags and make us bag bowls. And then we're gonna do the same thing we did before. We're gonna crease it, and then we're gonna tear it off. Whoopsie. There we go. And then we'll roll down the edges and make our bowl. And then what I like to do is take the hot sauce powder and make buffalo ranch popcorn. So there's our second flavor ready to go. And now we're gonna make an extra special one. So a lot of people like kettle corn. So I thought we would make a healthier version of kettle corn. So what we're gonna do is take another 1/4 of a cup of popcorn. And since we have a few little extras, we'll go ahead and put those in. It'll just give us an extra little bit of a snack. And then we're going to put in our tablespoon of oil, and I'm using vegetable oil. You could use any kind of oil that you wanted, canola, peanut, vegetable oil, grapeseed oil, even a light flavored olive oil. And then we're gonna add a little special secret to this, 1.5 tablespoons of maple syrup. And you're just gonna throw the maple syrup in there, and then we're gonna pop it, kind of swish it around in the bag a little bit and seal it. And then go back in the microwave for another 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay, I think our kettle corn's ready. Ooh, it smells like maple. So this is gonna be very hot. And what you're gonna do is shake this for about 30 seconds just to get all of the caramel sugary goodness coated. And then what we're gonna do is the exact same process of putting it in our little paper bowl. It's getting sticky. Let's get it in there. We'll transfer, like I said, this one's hot, so be very careful. Ooh, there we go. And then we'll, just as we did before, fold it down, tear it across, and make our little bowl. Now, we added the sweet to it, so for kettle corn, you need something salty. So what we have is a little bit of salt. As I roll this down, we'll sprinkle it with a little bit of sea salt, or table salt, or popcorn salt. And there we have our maple kettle corn. Now, like I said, we were gonna make the ladyfinger popcorn, So I think we'll go back to our book, the popcorn book. And remember when they said they made so much popcorn that it was like a snowstorm? I'll show you how small this pops up. So we're just gonna pour our kernels in. I'm gonna put this in here, and then we'll microwave this for the exact same amount of time. And while we do that, we'll try our other flavors. So we'll start with our first one, our cheesy popcorn. Let's see. It tastes like macaroni and cheese popcorn. And then we have our ranch and buffalo. Let's see here, get a good ranch piece. It's almost like buffalo wings. And now we'll go for the sweet. See, listen, it even sounds like kettle corn does. It's like covered in that sugary goodness. Mapley and crunchy. Which one of these would you make? I mean, I kind of want to eat all three of them, and I kind of will eat all three of them. I think I hear this popping, starting to pop. Do you hear it? They're the tiny little kernels. They make a much lighter thud. And wait till you see the size difference in them. Okay, I think our popcorn snowstorm is done. Oh, so we're gonna look at this. So remember, I poured in a lot more of this than we had used of this. And look at the difference. Look how tiny that is compared to our big popcorn. So one kernel. And like we said in the book, it snowed popcorn. So thanks for joining me today for our storm of popcorn. I hope you enjoyed the book, and I hope you enjoy the popcorn. And we'll see you back again sometime soon. Have a good one. After eating all of that popcorn, I think we need to go outside or play a game. Let's go to our friends Rory and Becca and learn how we can make our own game out of items we find around our house.
Hi, my name is Roy.
And I am Becca Fink Clark, and I am the West Virginia University Montague County 4-H Extension Agent.
I'm her daughter.
And today we are going to show you a really fun and easy activity that you can do at home, you can put together at home. And we discovered this from our West Virginia University Family Nutrition Program, so they sent this out for our virtual campers to take part in. And I thought Rory would really like it because we were trying to do badminton and we were really having a hard time, weren't we?
Yeah, it's so hard.
We couldn't keep the little shuttlecock in the air, like we could not get it. So this is a really great way, if you struggle with tennis or with badminton, an easier way to play.
Yes.
So Rory, why don't you tell us what we need?
So you need some balloons. We already got one blown up. We need some big popsicle sticks. You need some tape, duct tape, or any type of tape. We need plates. You need Sharpies. And that's it.
Okay, so what do we need to do?
So first you take your plate and you start by doing these lines on your plate.
So straight lines up and down.
Yep.
Just like this.
Yeah.
And then
you do it the opposite way.
and you can really decorate your plates however you want them to be decorated. But this we made so it looks like a tennis racket.
Yes.
The inside of a tennis racket.
Mine looks more like a tennis racket.
All right, then what do we do?
You flip your plate over. You take You take one jumbo popsicle stick. Give me some of that.
We tried to use tape, like regular
tape.
Yeah, like plastic.
But it didn't
see-through
really
tape.
work.
So you need to use some sturdy tape.
And this is what we found.
And you tape your stick to the back of your plate. Make sure it gets on there really good.
I might need you, and you're allowed to use some more if you like. I need some more. You think? Can I have a little bit more?
Yep. Want me to rip it for you?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And how many did you use?
Just 2.
I used 3 to make sure that it was really, 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 really good. I used 1 here, 1 that way, and 1 that way, and she used 2 going whichever way she wanted.
That's right.
And
now what do we do?
Now we're gonna show you how it works. And you need a balloon.
So now we're going to show you how to play. So you've made your little tennis rackets with your paper plate, your popsicle sticks, and your tape. Very easy. You have your balloon, and this is your ball. So we'll show you how to play. Okay, serve it to me.
Ooh, baby. See how this works a lot better?
And sometimes if you want to practice your numbers, you can count every time you hit it.
It's very simple.
Or you can say your ABCs.
1, 2, 3s.
Anything you want.
Or maybe you would say it in your language. You could say 1, 2, 3. You could do it when there's trace, whatever you like.
That's right. Badminton, we only got it to stay in the air 2 or 3 times, didn't we? But this game,
one time we did it 4 times.
Yep.
But it was very hot.
Scoot this way, babe. Closer, closer, closer. Yep.
Get it.
Get it. Toss it back. Get it back. Oh. And so if you have a lot of space, you can spread out and you can try to keep it in the air. More than one person
but we're
can
on
play.
a camera, so we can only go so far away.
That's right. All right. So let's hold the balloon and say thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
We hope you play and enjoy it.
Woohoo!
Hey Energy Express friends, did you have a fun day? I know I did. Well, we'll see you again soon for more fun and more activities. Have a good one. Bye-bye.